right, y'all, I put my book down. It's about to get a little active in here. So, you know when you go see like a superhero movie or the WWE and everybody is ready for the epic battles? Shakespeare's audience liked fights too. Hi, I'm Marie Stewart, and today we're going to talk about stage combat. Romeo and Juliet has fighting at its core. And in Shakespeare's day, it was a little, let's say, perilous. They used real weapons, and there were a lot of accidents. There are records of people getting their eyes put out, maybe some deaths. We tried to even find some records of potentially there being wooden weapons, and couldn't find that. So every indication implies that there were actual weapons happening. Here are the weapons that were most likely used. Rapier, which is a straight, narrow blade, and a dagger, a short knife. Often you would wear them on the same side, close to one another. So for instance, when Juliet gets Romeo's dagger, she would have gotten it from the same side of his belt as his sword would have been. Also in Shakespeare's day, they didn't rehearse a lot because they performed the plays in rep. So while they were running Hamlet, they might have also been practicing Romeo and Juliet during the day. There also aren't a lot of stage directions in Shakespeare. In fact, sometimes the line will tell you what you were supposed to have been doing. So for example, when Oberon says to Titania, "Tarry, rash wanton," that's how you know you were supposed to have been walking away. So that gets a little stressful when one is fighting. Luckily, the fights usually come out of arguments or in war. It's not like people just spontaneously begin fighting for no reason. However, when swords are involved, you would usually like there to be more rehearsals. Luckily, they can recycle fight moves, and often these are very highly trained swordsmen. They would have a master of arms who taught everybody how to fight. And how they would teach people to fight is they would teach them the same fight moves that you would use in a duel, regular life. And you know how people would know if they were bad? The audience would know. And they would boo and shout at them. Because you know who was in the audience? Sometimes nobles, soldiers, people who get in duels all the time. Also, sometimes theaters were used to showcase fencing matches. So if there was a fencing match earlier in the day, then the fencing match in Hamlet later better be just as good, or people might throw tomatoes at you, literally. Also, let's talk about these special effects. There's no nice fancy blood. It's things like vinegar. That's if you're lucky. Also, you might get a bladder full of sheep's blood. Then you would put it under your shirt, under your arm. Then the person would stab, hopefully, the bladder, and then it would get all over you. Then you lay in that until it's over. Luckily for us, in today's time, we are much more safe. There's no more sheep's blood. There are much more pleasant stage alternatives. You can use Caro syrup or other things that are not made of animal blood. And we practice. We have someone called a fight choreographer who plans the steps in a fight in advance, so you don't have to make it up or be a person who gets in duels on weekends. Let's meet Kevin. He's our fight choreographer. We have a couple questions for him. Question 1. How did you get started as a fight choreographer?
Well, I was working in community theater. I'd done a bunch of fight shows and taken a lot of stage combat classes. And I found myself in a production that needed some fights. It was Shakespeare's Cymbeline with Fourth Room Theater.
What is the most important part of a fight?
Well, that's a really big question. The most important thing is to keep everyone safe, but we also have to blend the storytelling elements and the needs of the script into the choreography and into the rehearsal process. So in addition to keeping the actors, the crew, the equipment, and when you're doing live theater, the audience safe, you also have to blend in the reasons why the characters are fighting in the first place. There's a phrase that fighting starts when words fail. So you don't want to escalate too quickly or too slowly in the preceding scene, otherwise the fight won't match up. And so blending those ideas into a combination of safety for everyone involved and making sure that the fight makes sense within the story and for the characters that we're portraying.
Let's watch a little bit of rehearsal.
It was good. Your targeting was a little bit low. So just remember, you're targeting one here. It's important to get all this stuff nice and safe. Remember, with the eye contact, when you initiate, the attacker needs to see your eye contact to know that you're ready, right? And then your eye contact is going to go to where you're targeting. Yeah, let's go back to the beginning of the previous phrase. Remember always, always, especially with those moves, to be looking here where your blade is trying to get to. And then thrust to 2. Across the body, very nice. Mercutio to 1. Then Tybalt cuts to 4 and you slide into the bind.
Now you try it. But before I tell you, let's remember to keep it safe. This is not Verona. Here's 3 moves to practice. On guard, lunge, and parry. Check our experience guide for more tips, quotes, and ways to incorporate Shakespearean insults into your daily life. And we'll see you next week for more willpower.